So here at P4, we're going to cover two different trail arm structures that you can use as options. And I'll explain the ways that we can sync those up for you. So the number one that I would say that I see a lot of, and everybody likes this because they think it looks pretty, is getting this trail arm into more of this position, which would be external rotation. So this would be something like what Tiger looked like for a long time. So the more I go here and I stretch back like this, so I'm taking my arm and moving it more this direction, that is what we would call external rotation of our trail humerus at the top. If you are a player that chooses to do that, number one thing I would tell you, you better have arms that are fairly long so that you can still keep that club behind you. Number two, you better be very patient with your upper body and your arms from this position so that when you start to turn, this club will stay behind you. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot do this, but I think you do need to understand how we need to sync it up to do that. Because if your first move, if you go up here and we pull on the handle first and you go from external to internal rotation, there's a good chance that you're going to be steep into the ball. You might be hitting poles. You could be tilting out of it to keep it more inside. Number of things that could happen. But there are a lot of good players who have done this. Just make sure, one, you've got a fairly long wingspan so that you can make this happen. So that is one of our options up there when talking about P4 and how we sync up external rotation with our humerus. So if I hit one here, I'm going to go here, external. I'm going to wait for it so that I can keep this inside and then I'll turn. So here we go. So as you can see, I hit a little start right draw there, and that felt like I was stretching this direction more. I just had to feel like I held that stretch there for as long as possible so that I could start to turn and keep the club inside.